Today we're saving lives in Home Safety Hotline. This interactive point-and-click adventure places us in the most horrific of places, an office. Using the resources given to us, we must help our customers identify the strange issues happening in their homes or risk the worst. Can we save them? Let's find out right here on the First 30 Podcast. Thank you for listening to the First 30 Podcast. I'm your host, Chad Callahan, and alongside me are the desk goblins going through my taxes, Tim Harris.
Hello.
David Marino.
You gotta itemize those deductibles.
That's why I forgot. And Rick Weirdbeard Hogerhide.
March 15th. Get your stuff in. Don't go to jail.
Isn't it April now? Didn't they push it back? I don't even know anymore.
I don't know either, man. Like, I'm not going to
My
lie.
taxes.
Just do it as early as possible.
Yeah. I do too.
As soon as that W-2 shows up, done.
That's right. I have all of them. I'm going to say it. I have all of them right here.
I was very concerned you were going to just hold up and be like, my social security number for anybody who's concerned.
I've got my taxes ready.
See, you know what sucks is like ever since because I married into a wife that had a kid previously before me. It's so weird seeing the difference between people with kids and taxes and people without kids and taxes. Because me, I was like, taxes. I gotta pay for everything. Tax season rolls around for her, and she's like, "Yo, who wants to go to a sushi bar?" And I'm like, "Oh, okay."
Cheesecake Factory on me.
On me.
Hell yeah.
Nice.
Speaking of Cheesecake Factory, I did, before this call, I invited everyone to Cheesecake Factory, and I think we've all agreed to go. So I'm super hyped about this because I haven't gone there in so long, and I found out that people think, I think it's Gen Z, think that Cheesecake Factory is like lame or like the equivalent of Olive Garden.
Is
right?
the word
and I was like, what?
chuggy used? Is it chuggy?
Maybe. I don't know the word they use for it, but I was definitely upset because Cheesecake Factory to me is like 20 tiers above Olive Garden.
Yeah,
100%.
for sure. Yeah, I mean, the food at Cheesecake Factory is really good.
Yeah,
really
but
good.
I do feel like the restaurant itself does put on airs.
I don't care.
In what way?
Listen, they have a menu that's 40 pages long. You can easily axe half of it, and your like pretentious score falls.
To be fair, half of that is cheesecake, and that lives up to the name.
I suppose.
It's
But I mean,
so
you
good.
walk in and they
like 2
look so
pages.
fancy, and the waiters have those little like black bibs where they keep their notebook. That's just, I don't know.
Their
I love
bread
it.
is brown. I think if
It's
you
so
have to
good.
have
Hey.
something about yourself.
That's
No.
delicious
That brown bread,
okay? Yeah, I will
We-
defend that bread to the death. Okay.
We are
Yeah.
bread guys. All right, all three of us are bread people, and we love and the fact that they have two different breads. That's fancy as fuck. All right, not even the fanciest restaurants give you two breads. They give you like dry breadstick things, and they call it bread. All right.
That's what makes them casual fine dining.
Also,
See,
please
I
warm
like
your
that.
butter. I'm tired of tearing holes in the bread because you serve it chilled.
That is fair.
Well, I'm glad that we went on this food podcast for a moment to talk about the luxury that is the Cheesecake Factory. But we're going to talk about a little bit video games. I actually have a game before we start that. And I was looking up a bunch of video game quotes, and I thought it'd be really fun if I asked you guys some video game quotes, and then you had to finish the rest of the line.
Mhm.
And each of you, I would like to have a buzzer noise. So, Tim, what is your buzzer noise?
You got it. It's classic.
Fantastic.
Okay.
All right. I guess you actually had something.
I was ready. Yeah.
You're going to do it with your mouth, but all right. David, what is your buzzer noise?
I'm just going to go,
Okay. Oh,
if
that's a
I
good
know
one.
it.
It's a good
All
one.
right. And Weirdbeard, what is yours?
Hee-haw. I think it'll be good.
All right.
Okay.
A good arrangement. Tim, I do feel like you are at a disadvantage because you
I am
actually
at
have
a
to physically
Push a button.
push a button. All right. Your first quote is, "It's time to kick some ass and chew bubble gum."
Hee-haw. And
All right, Rick.
I'm all out of bubble gum.
Correct. That's one for
Duke
Rick.
Nukem, baby.
See,
Yes,
I
Duke
thought we
Nukem.
were naming the game, so I would have failed out.
Oh,
I also thought we were going to be naming the game,
no, you have
but
to finish the quote.
Okay.
that Duke Nukem doesn't actually say that. That's from They Live. That's Roddy Piper.
Is it? I don't know. I just know that-
Everyone always attributes that to Duke Nukem, but he doesn't actually say that.
You know what?
Really?
Listen,
Is
Ken
this like a-
Jennings, I've already buzzed in. We're going to move to the next one. I
It
already
was
given my
on the
goddamn
list. It was
point.
correct. He did
Okay, I
finish
mean-
it correctly. And
Chad just found the list. That's what we're working with.
Is this another one of those Casablanca play it again, Sam moments that we have?
I think it is.
Interesting. All right. Next quote, and I know this one's real. Or correct, at least. All right. You were almost a Jill.
Oh, damn it.
David got it. David, what is it?
Sandwich.
Damn it.
Yep. You were almost a Jill sandwich in Resident Evil. Really good one. All right. This one is a little tricky, I won't admit, because it's very vague, but I think it was said enough in the game that you will know which one it is. And I'll give you bonus points if you figure out which one. Stop right there, criminal.
Oh, God damn it.
Oh, David got it. What is it?
Scum.
Yeah.
Correct. What game? Which one?
Which one?
In particular,
Oblivion.
yes, it is Oblivion. That's the one. At least this was attributed to in the website. I looked this up. All right, this one I don't know. I remember this line, but I don't know if I would have known the whole thing.
I'm ready.
All right, a famous explorer once said that the extraordinary is in what we do. It is a Tomb Raider quote.
Yeah, I know. It's definitely Lara Croft.
Played.
All right. Rick,
Not-
do you want to give
which
a guess?
Tomb Raider?
The first one. A famous explorer once said that the extraordinary is in what we do, not
how we do it.
Incorrect. It is not who we are.
Okay, there we go.
I was gonna,
It's
yeah.
not
You know
the
what?
It's
big
very
Luke Shorts.
general. It's very general.
I'm going on record right now. Lara Croft is a Nepo baby. She is only there because her goddamn father set her up. She can't sit there and be like, oh, it's actually about, just kind of what you're doing. Like, yeah, if I had a whole house I could lock a butler into the freezer in, yeah, I think I'd be able to do whatever I wanted to as well.
All right, I have another one. And I remember this one. It is funny because I don't know if I ever played this game, but it must be, known well enough. Do a barrel.
Hee-haw.
Oh, that was a Rick one for sure.
Damn.
Do a barrel roll. That's Peppy the Hare from Star Fox.
Yeah.
It was a Star Fox 64.
Got the character and everything. He's ready.
Listen, yes. I don't know if there's anybody that I would have shoved into a locker more than Slippy, given the
All
opportunity.
right. Tim, I'm just going to give this one to you since you've been struggling. You haven't been able to answer any. All right. This one. Tim, death is a preferable alternative to.
I know exactly what this is in my brain, but it's not coming to me.
Can you give me the game?
Nope. Oh
right,
my
does anyone-
God.
Anyone else have an guess?
Give him something
I
that
don't know
it
what it
rhymes
is, but I have a
with.
funny answer.
Castlevania.
What is your funny answer?
Damn it.
It's not
Living.
Castlevania. No, it's not that. No one has the answer.
What is it again?
Is death is a preferable alternative to.
Being a coward.
Incorrect. This is a Fallout 3 quote. Death is a preferable alternative to communism.
Oh, Liberty Prime.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And this one,
Damn it.
I'm going to tell you what game it is, and then we'll move on. But I know David, being an avid fan of Alan Wake, I'd be really curious to know if he could guess the rest of this specific quote. If our lives are already written, it would take a courageous man to.
Is that from the sequel? Because I haven't played that yet.
Just says Alan Wake, so I'm assuming it's the first one.
It doesn't sound familiar from the first one.
Tim, I know you played it with David recently.
Is it to write a new ending?
Oh, that's good.
You're close.
Oh, I've never played it. I still get it. All right.
Step
I'll read
off
it-
the page.
I'll read it. If our lives are already written, it would take a courageous man to.
Choose a new ending?
No, nothing.
No.
The answer is to change the script.
Ah,
So
okay.
very
Yeah.
close with the new
I
ending.
think that sounds like it's from the second one.
Is it? Oh.
It might be from the first one because there was that big portion where like he's doing the big voiceover part and he's trying to be all philosophical. So that
Maybe I'll look it up in a second. But I would like to correct. So Duke does actually say I'm here to kick ass and chew bubblegum. The thing is, people think that is from Duke Nukem.
Oh,
It's just
okay.
a reference to.
Oh, I thought you were
Oh.
just talking about the I'm all out of bubblegum part, because I knew that first part. I didn't know if the second part was, so I thought that's what you were referring to.
Yeah, no. So Duke does technically say it. It's just a reference line to They Live.
Okay.
All right, I have a last one, and I saw this and I just laughed because of what the game was. But what game is this from? It's a me, Mario.
None. He never says it's a me, Mario.
No, doesn't he? Says it in Super Mario 64, doesn't he?
That's not the game I'm looking for. It's actually
Super
Assassin's
Mario
Creed
3D
2.
World. What?
Yep. Apparently there is an end joke.
Yeah.
Whereas Uncle
yeah.
Mario comes
Yeah.
in and said, "It's a me, Mario."
Okay.
So I don't know. I thought that was a
It's
dumbass
good.
joke, and it cracked me up when I saw it.
Death. He death penalty for that man now, and for the writers who wrote that character.
Oh, anyways, we're not here to talk about any of those games. We're here to talk about this new 1990s horror point-and-click working sim where goblins are always the problem. This is Home Safety Hotline.
Hi, I'm concerned about the stability of my new home.
Hi, I'm so sorry. My name is Grace, and it's probably nothing.
Okay, you want to explain to me what the hell is happening?
Some kind of animal has gotten into my cellar. There were Satan worshippers in my shed.
You figure out what's going on in my house, and you figure it out now!
Please hold.
Welcome to Home Safety Hotline, new employee.
Also, a quick reminder, if you're listening to this podcast, you can also view this podcast on YouTube. You can go to youtube.com/@first30podcast. But let's get into the meat and potatoes that is this game, which is just pointing and clicking. But the opening scene of this entire game, it looks like an old 1996, like, I don't know, like web browser. What was it like? It was just like Windows 96, right? Or
Windows
yeah?
95.
Well, it would be like 95. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, that's what it was. I knew it was like 90 something. I don't remember. I barely remember anything before like 2007. So like it's tough for me.
It's definitely for somebody who, like, I don't know. I had a home computer early on, as a very young person. This felt reminiscent of that early jank, like that technology 1.0, where home computers still weren't sorted out. You had the like slow mouse that would like go over.
Oh,
and
yeah.
it
And it would like just take forever to get where you wanted to go. And then
Yes.
eventually it would just get there. Yeah.
And it's sort of like, because this game, you play a guy who's taking calls as if you're like a 911 operator, but really it's for issues people have in their house. So somebody would be
Like
like,
home security almost. Yeah.
yeah, like, oh, hey, I'm coughing a whole bunch and I'm having allergies, and you go, black mold, and you find that answer, and that's the entire loop of the game. But
Which I
it's-
imagine that must have been a real thing. Like people probably called in and be like, oh, because there wasn't Google like as well as there was like now. I mean, sure they existed, but like I don't think people really fully understood Google in 1996.
No, because the other thing that also existed at the same time was the video game hint hotline, where you would call in and pay per minute
Yeah.
for hints on video games, and it would ask you like what
Mm.
chapter you're in. I think like this makes sense in that context, but it really sold the whole like full package of old technology and trying to solve problems when you're right, like Google didn't exist at all.
Which is weird because like in my brain, I'm like, well, the one thing that threw me off is like everyone had like video apparently though. Like they had
Yeah.
like, or like an image of
Oh, yeah.
themselves. Like they had
Yeah.
like pictures of themselves. It's like, what? That's really weird. Why would you have that like as a caller? But
I
Throughout
don't think it's the callers that have the image. I think it's the hotline that has the image of the
Oh, like, that's
callers
just
because
like-
they're up to no good.
oh, maybe. Yeah, I gotcha. Yeah, we don't know the hidden mysteriousness that is going on with this the HSA as they call themselves, and you have your supervisor Carol, that bitch.
That bitch, Carol Baskins.
But basically the tutorial is pretty quick. Like they take you through like a first few things. And Tim, do you want to give us like the baseline of like what we're doing. Like, what is the whole game?
Yeah. So, I mean, essentially, the game is there's a bunch of items on the side of the screen that you can click on. And when the people call in, they'll give you a list of things that are going on. And essentially, you have to take what they're saying, figure out what the problem is based on what they're saying by clicking around on the items and figuring out the specifics of what those things cause. Like if they have black mold, it can cause, allergic reactions and coughing fits and stuff like that. So if they're coughing, you have a chance that that's it, but it could be something else. And you got to kind of figure out the little context clues in what they're saying to figure out exactly what is causing their situation.
Oh, can
Yeah.
I give a context or an example of one that we had? This guy
Yeah.
calls in and he's like, "Oh, my stomach has been hurting. I feel like gross. I bet it's something in the water. Like the water and the pipes are all weird and, all this kinds of stuff. But that can't be it because we eat all homegrown fruits and vegetables from our garden. And if you go through the options, there are choices that you could have made where it's like, oh yeah, they have
weird
fucking
ones.
a monster in their pipes or whatever. But it was actually that he ate what they call the false
Living turnip? Oh,
a false
turnip.
beet. And it was like a little monster baby that looks like a beet and all that kind of stuff. But yeah, it's just like it's logic puzzles almost to where they give it and you have to be like, oh, it says this, but it's actually not this. And what does this mean when you read it according to their list of symptoms?
And it does seem to get more complicated because sometimes you get that red herring in there where it's trying to lead you to think it's one thing, but then like another thing kind of nullifies that because this is much more important of a thing. So it gets kind of complicated. We played about an hour and a half, maybe a little less.
Yeah.
But like even within that little bit of time, we got stumped at least 3 rounds in a row.
Yeah.
Because like of things that were just super similar to what we were doing. It was insane.
I think even the best version that we've seen so far of that was that guy who called and was like, hey, the other person gave me some information that didn't help.
Yeah.
It's still happening. And the clue was that the thing that they gave him help for, he didn't do. So the monster transformed into a new monster that was causing that was the correct answer.
Yeah.
So watching for stuff like that, where you can like almost pair off like things in the list. Like, okay, he's saying this, but what can that lead to? Was it a really good evolution of kind of that puzzle mechanic?
Yeah, and sometimes you got to really dig too, because like that, what was it, the underground grotto or whatever it was? Like we were stumped on that for a minute because he listed off several things. He said it, there's a smell coming from my basement, and it, there's all these noises coming from down there, and it sounds like water. And
it sounds like a lot of water.
Yeah, there's a couple things that kind of fit, but unless you really get in and read the description of this grotto, like they don't tell you that it sounds like water. They tell you that there's a lake monster down there.
Yeah. So you have to use context clues from the description to. It's very in depth about like what is written in these like little articles, like these little descriptors that these people are telling you.
Yeah.
But the one thing that kept stumping us is like it doesn't tell you right away when you answer these things if you got them right.
Yeah.
And that's one thing that was kind of like concerning because at first we're like, did we get it right? Is it gonna tell us, or like, do we just die? Because this reminds me of like word salad observation duty. If anyone's played that game, where it's like that's more visual and you're pointing and clicking on like, oh, it's this, and these things moved and stuff like that. Instead, this is all words, and you have to kind of do the same kind of concept. But the problem I had with it was like, it doesn't tell you until you're done with that full round, however long, how many times it goes. It could be like 4 rounds or 6, 10. I don't actually know how many later on. And then I'll tell you your percentage you got right, which is kind of annoying. So you never know which ones you got wrong until you keep playing. And then the people who called before, and if you got that wrong, they'll call back and be like, you son of a bitch, like you got it wrong and now my face is on fire. It's just crazy. Like, it's actually really funny how they did that because we were like really upset that we didn't know which ones were wrong. And so like it kind of, even when you get things wrong, you learn from them, even though way later in the round. So I thought that was kind of a clever mechanic to do.
Yeah, I think not telling you what you did wrong kind of increases replay value too, because I'm sure you don't get the same scenarios every single time. So like when one of those things does pop back up in the future, you're not necessarily going to know what you got wrong on it. You're just going to know, hey, I got this wrong. Like,
Well,
I'm
you don't
kinda
even know
glad
if
they
that's
don't
the one you
tell
got wrong. You just know you got something wrong,
Right.
and it's the ones that you were probably guessing on.
Yeah. Well, there were a couple times where like that's carpenter ants, 1000% carpenter ants, and then that woman called back and we're like, oh, it wasn't carpenter ants at all. And it's really funny because sometimes that one made more sense for carpenter ants, and then we answered another one that was carpenter ants right after it, and we were like, there's no way that there's 2 carpenter ant answers in a row.
Yeah.
So I was
Yeah.
doubting that second one way more. But like, I don't know, like something about it was incorrect. It was just really crazy, like how this game goes from like 0 to 60 a little bit.
I'm also wondering too if you don't necessarily get a follow-up on every single one you've gotten wrong. Like maybe the game picks and chooses, like it'll tell you this one was wrong this time. But if you got like 2 other ones wrong, you might not get that follow-up.
That's fair. We only got one wrong ever at a time in a round, I mean.
There might be no follow up to creatures that specifically kill you.
Oh,
yeah,
maybe.
That would be kind of
That's
neat.
fair.
The other thing that like sort of stood out while doing this is that they didn't give you all the options for the choices that you could select
yeah.
at first. So it's like you get a day and then a second day and a third day, and each day it increases the amount of like options you have to select from. And even when we finished playing, we played 4 days: Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. Not in real life, just in the game. We did those days, and we still didn't even unlock everything. There was I don't even know, like
We made
upwards
halfway.
of 50. Do you think there was like 50 options we could eventually choose from?
Yeah, I'd probably say somewhere between 30 and 50, somewhere in there.
There was a whole bunch, but that's all it was just interesting that I'm glad they didn't dump everything on you. But even while we were playing, I think somebody said, wow, I didn't think they were going to give us this many that quickly.
Yeah.
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 Well, because it starts off and you have, like mice and raccoons, and there's a few options.
Termites.
And then, termites. And then you get a few more. You're like, oh, weird pipe fungus and bed mushrooms. Well, they call them bed teeth, but they were just a fungus. And then like by day 3 already, it's dumping gnomes and this fey flu that makes you burst out into flowers. So it's like, okay, things are getting weird fast.
Yeah. I mean, I kind of appreciate this. I don't know how long this game is, but I don't imagine it's like super long of a game based on like how quick we're opening.
For sure, there's only 3 more days after Thursday. That's 3 apparently. Yeah, 3 more days after Thursday, because they gave us the thing saying, oh, you got to work the weekend now, so we're going to be working till Saturday. And I'm assuming you just got to make it through all
through
of
the
those days.
week.
Yeah.
They also kind of play on like some fun in the game a little bit, where like there's these like prank callers, and I'm trying to figure out these prank callers are important to the storyline, or if they're important to like just make like to hear them, and maybe it relates to like some type of answers. But none of them felt like they were. Did you guys get any sense that any of those like prank callers were like other than just entertainment value? Because I couldn't figure it out.
I was gonna say, I think they're just meant to be weird and kind of like unnatural,
Like
setting
horror.
the mood of this like SCP style otherworldliness, where they're just like, skinwalkers or something trying to infiltrate your customer base or something. I don't know.
Like I can
makes
tell you
sense.
though, I know some people have worked 911 like call centers for real, and they really do have people that will just call and not prank call them, but just call up there because they're like bored or lonely or they don't know what's going on, and they'll call for just all these reasons, and that's almost creepier, I guess. It's weird because like when a guy named Dave would call us and he'd be like, fuck you, you're the worst, I can't believe you did this, and you're like, yeah, okay, whatever, and it's like a customer service job. But somebody who's just calling to call and be like, hey, what are you doing? Like that instantly don't like it.
Especially because most of them are just nonsense. Like it didn't have to do with anything.
Those
the one was trying to be like, I think your refrigerator's running kind of joke, but it wasn't like as straight up as that. It was just kind of like, I don't
Oh,
know.
no.
They're going around the joke. I couldn't
Yeah,
figure it
because
out.
he didn't say your refrigerator, or he didn't ask if our refrigerator's running. He said your refrigerator has been running around over here. Come get it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What?
Yeah, it's like they're taking the joke and taking the piss out on the actual joke. It's actually really funny.
Yeah, like what are you talking about?
I love that. But there was other like weird things in there, like the emails. Like Tim, I really wasn't even following the emails at that point. Tim, what was going on in those emails?
So most of the emails, because you get emails in between days of the week when you're going back into work, most of the emails are just your boss telling you that, hey, you're going to be working 2 extra days, or, we're going to send you some new information, or, oh, you did a really good job this, today. So here's a coupon for you. But there's also like a character who used to work there, whose job you now have, that sends you all of these crazy messages and wants you to come live in a hole with him. Yeah.
There's a cat. Yeah.
So something's going on. We just don't know what yet.
Yeah, it's very unsettling. But I mean, obviously, it's a very simple game. Like it's a point and click. I guess you could call it adventure.
No, don't, Chad. Stop.
I don't know what to call
We're-
it. Point and click. I want to say adventure, but like I don't know. It's an adventure in itself. I
Chad,
guess.
go sit in the corner. That's not. That's wrong.
I mean, all point and clicks are adventures in my brain. I don't know. What would you categorize this at, Tim?
I mean, it's an interactive sim kind of.
Yeah, I mean,
in a manner. Yeah.
I struggled trying to figure that out. So yeah, there you go. If you want an interactive sim where you just sit in front of a computer all day in 1996, well, here you go.
Also known as League of Legends.
And if you haven't already, go and look up the First 30 podcast on TikTok, because we have plenty of stuff. Obviously, talking about furries over there all the time, because that's all we ever talk about.
Hell yeah.
Gotta bring it up every podcast. I feel like it's religious at this point. Now let's talk about a little bit about how this game doesn't have substance, because there's a lot. It's weird because you're literally just looking at a screen from 1996 the entire time, and it does categorize itself as a horror game, or at least someone categorized it as a horror game, because you know how Steam is. And I'm trying to figure out if I lead into that or not. David, you have some thoughts, I feel like.
Yeah, this is 100% a horror game.
Okay.
This is cut from the same cloth as like SCP, The Back Rooms. I think even on the store page, it's not a tag, but they've self-identified as being analog horror, which not really.
In
I
a
mean, we're on a
sense,
computer.
I get it. Yeah.
Listen, here's the way that you know it's a horror game is because it has a phobia trigger list in the
Yeah.
settings.
Oh yeah.
Because there was quite a few things.
Yeah.
But what's really, because I mean, we started off and you're doing these puzzles and they're like, okay, look, does this do this? No. You read the description, listen to the sound things like, oh, that's a little weird, whatever. But you read further into these like case files and there's some really dark stuff just like lying right underneath. Because that, the what was it, false beat?
Yeah, the false beat.
Yep.
Yeah.
The false beat, because we were doing that false beat one when it finally came up, and it's like, oh, stomach ache makes people eat it. No, okay, funny. And then you read at the bottom, and it's like,
The solution.
there is no cure for this. Removing it will kill the host, and it's like, oh shit! Like we got to tell this guy that he's basically screwed.
There's also multiple answers that you could choose for issues that like kidnapped children and killed them.
Yeah,
Just normal.
Because even like when we were going through it, like the setup is already like dark comedy, just like the banality of these creatures and stuff that you just give people an information packet to deal with. Like that's already funny. But the one entry for the mom whose kid got abducted
the
by the
false
TV,
artifact. Yeah.
or what? Yeah, the false
Oh,
artifact,
yeah.
whatever it actually was. In the description said like, we can get rid of the artifact. The kid's probably still inside, and if you have a problem, use this other thing to forget about it. Like that is
can use the
incredibly
memory
funny for
wisp
this type of game.
to
Yes,
help with
I
the
love
grieving
stuff like that.
process.
It's so good. Just those little snippets add to the lore, world building, and is just funny in context. I love it.
Yeah, and there's also those little commercials, those like trailers too, like the mouse one in particular, where it's like it expands upon a current option you can choose and makes it supernatural. So at first you're like, it's a mouse, it just scritch in your walls and then it leaves poop and whatever. And then you watch this video and it's like, there's the mouse and then there's the smart mouse. And then it slowly goes in and they're like, we interpreted these like little scratchy noises and it said, help me. And it's just like really creepy and like weird.
That
and
one,
stuff like
because
that.
the other one, the realty listing, like it was just houses
Yes.
on a loop, but then all of a sudden you get like an Amber Alert scrolling across the bottom. It's like missing kid, last seen wearing this, suspicious person is 6 foot tall and wearing a bush. And you're like, what? And then, you get to the next day and it's like, oh, it's a fake rose bush that steals children. Like,
Yeah, which is
that's what stole that kid.
Yeah.
The
Just a
fake rose
bush
book
with
is
feet.
Yeah, bush with feet.
Yeah, it just stands there and kidnaps children, I guess.
It's all so weird. And I made the goblin joke at the beginning of this episode because there's like these hobs. They call them like desk hobs. Not wall hob. Fracture hobs. Is that what it was?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And a bunch of different
Pipe
versions
hob.
of it. Pipe hob. And like they clean stuff. And I'm irritated because one woman comes in and is like, I keep coming to my house and it's clean now. And what's wrong with it? And I'm like, nothing. Not a damn thing is wrong with it. That solution should be, you are lucky as fuck. All right. So I got really irritated with that one. I mean, they do cause some issues, but very little.
Well, that's the
compared to
thing, is
its
that
clean.
they are small and normal and they clean, but if you don't do anything about them, they can turn into boggarts. Which
Is that what it was?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, that's the thing that like, and the solution was nothing. You get to fucking leave your house and that's it. Sorry, that's the only solution you have to this thing that'll wear a fake face and kill you if you look at it.
Oh, I didn't catch that part about the boggart. Interesting.
Yeah, because it said it specifically says like this is a metamorphosized hob. Like if you let it sit for too long, it will turn into this horrifying thing.
Oh, so there is like expanded universe even within the solutions.
Well,
I didn't
because
catch that.
those calls were really funny because we had that one. I think it was a desk hob where the guy called. Is like, someone's breaking into my house and screwing with my stuff.
It's
I know
Bob.
it's you, Bob from HR. How dare you come over and organize my papers? It's like, okay, guy, calm down. Like,
I was like, okay.
That doesn't really sound like a problem.
Yeah, it's really funny. So they do a lot of, even though it's literally the bane of my existence, which is just text,
Yeah.
it is very interesting how they built a world on very little,
Yeah,
to be
so
honest.
I guess that would be my next question that I would ask everybody, is there enough of a bite to the apple here? Like, this is fun and interesting as a mechanic, but engaging with it, we played an hour and change. Is that really enough that feels like there's something there, or is it like, oh, that was fun, I like that, that was an experience, but oh well, that's all it is.
I will say, we probably got halfway through the game. Tim is probably correct. The completionist amount of time, according to how long to beat, is 3.5 hours.
Yeah.
So with that basis in mind, I would say, yeah. I mean, if it's a 3.5 hour game, that was a good time for what it was.
Well,
I
the
would
other thing
say.
too is you probably play a week. Like the game is a week. Monday. We started Monday through Sunday.
Yeah.
And there's a thing to reset week progress, but I think you can probably just replay a week.
Yeah.
And you'll have everything unlocked already, and you're going to hear new phone calls. I'll bet. We don't know that, but I'll bet you'll hear new phone calls.
I assume so.
There's probably slightly different or more difficult puzzles. You're not going to see a bunch of new videos. Those probably don't pop up every time or repeat. But I think, especially because you got to go through, you're going to read everything, just completing the puzzles. You're not going to, take in the entire block of text. So you're going to be learning slightly new things, getting a little bit more out of every time you choose an option or you're scrolling through options. You're always picking up a little bit more every time. And this is the kind of game, like, I feel like you're definitely going to want to replay.
Yeah.
Just because the puzzles are fun, little deduction things, but also I enjoy reading about these and all of the not hazards, but all of the havoc that they can cause.
Yeah.
I think the one thing that made it nice when we were playing together, and I think I would have probably struggled with this game a lot more if I played this by myself. Like, as much as logic puzzles are fun, I think I would have been like, but like, it was much more fun because like each of us remember different details about different things. And Dave was like, "Oh no, that was definitely the desk hob." And then Rick was like, "Oh no, but remember what they said about like the fucking pipe girder thing, whatever the hell it was called, like just weird shit." Like, and so we were able to like put it together, and it was kind of fun banter back and forth. And like Tim would always be like, it's fucking carpenter ants though.
Well, still, even because going back to where like it tells you got something wrong, but not what you got wrong.
Yeah.
It was that guy that his son didn't want to mow the lawn and like was asking for lawn care tips. And Rick's like, black mold. And we're scrolling through black mold. It's like, yeah, black mold. Like obviously the son is affected by black mold. And that's the one we got wrong. And like, we have no idea what happened. Like next time that guy calls, we'll have to pick something else.
You know what that kid was doing? He was
Cocaine.
faking. He was faking. Yeah, cocaine. Yeah, he was faking because he's a teenage kid who doesn't want to mow the lawn, and we read too far into it.
It might, but
There you go.
it did ask for a solution.
Yeah,
Wait.
but to the piles of dirt on the lawn, it was probably a gopher. I'm still convinced it was a
Oh,
gopher.
you meant it was probably just a gopher.
so like you're saying the kid didn't have anything
I'm
to
saying
do with
that
it.
the kid was just talking shit and didn't want to mow the lawn. Okay.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, we might have read too far into it. I don't know, but
Oh,
it's
man.
easy to do in this game. But I guess I want to quickly get into like our gripes with the game or grievances. I think I only have one grievance overall, and I think that big grievance is like I wish there was more of a time limit suck. You know what I mean? And I don't know if there was, but there's not really like a timer that's like ticking. And maybe even if it wasn't like there's like a hard mode, and then because like the one thing that observation duty does really well that this game doesn't is it amplifies the tension. And I think that's where the horror really comes in on observation duty outside of like the weirdness that's obviously happening in the house. But this game kind of needs that amp up to make it a little bit more
I wanted
terrifying.
multiple calls. I wanted you to like,
too.
Yeah.
if you had somebody
Like
on
killer
hold
frequency.
and you're trying to figure out this other one, and like it wouldn't be, oh, it's 2 minutes for every call. It would be, 2 minutes, but this person's kid has been missing, and so they've got 30 seconds. But you've got to
and then there's like clues in between the two that you could kind of figure out sometimes, maybe. I don't know.
something like it. Just again, it felt very much like problem comes in. Okay, we're gonna scroll
Solve.
here and solve
Yeah.
it, and then it goes away, and then your new one comes in. Like I like the overcooked style of pressure.
chaos.
Yes, like to where just shit, stuff is starting to back up because I'm not on top of
And
it.
maybe that
and then-
not from like a gameplay perspective, but just clinical bureaucracy of needing to deal with these problems.
I know, it's so
just
good.
very funny. It's enjoyable. Like, oh, your kid's missing. Okay, hold on a second. Let me just scroll through my list of things.
I do like how he's like, here's this horrible thing that's happening to me. You're like, please hold.
Yeah.
And just scroll through.
And you have to get that little. It's because it's not even like you just click hold. It's that little text to speech. It's like hold, please.
Yeah.
And like, there's okay, child missing. What causes missing children? And like,
this one eats children.
I can
right
see
here.
why you'd want maybe like a challenge mode or just something to keep the pressure on. But just sitting there scrolling through while this woman is crying and her child is missing is very funny.
Yes.
I don't know. Is there any other grievances you guys have potentially in this game?
Oh,
I mean,
God.
I wouldn't say there's a lot, but
I'm not because I'm not entirely sure yet. Really, the only thing I could think of as a grievance, like not having like a time limit or anything, but just have more obstacles. Because like the servers going down and you losing access to the list is a really neat
Oh, I
Yeah,
forgot
that
about
creates
that one, yeah.
pressure. Yeah.
Like that creates some pressure. Having more stuff like that, like maybe files get corrupted and you kind of have it there.
Well, there
things
is
get
one
switched
thing
around.
that had
the
because
wrong audio.
yeah, the wrong audio. So
Yeah.
some of them they have audio
it said it was
files.
going to be updated.
That would be interesting of being like, side note, we actually this is switched with another one. We don't know what it was accidentally switched with. So, I don't know.
Oh,
I'm not going to
Yeah.
do game design for them for free, but I agree.
But yeah, more stuff like that where it's just you have to watch out for something's changed or you have the wrong info or like and a disgruntled employee changed the Wikipedia page and you have to remember what it said before. Something
That would
like
be great.
that.
Yeah.
Oh god. I only have one minor gripe about this game. Only one. And it's the stupidest gripe possible. They do a very good job at replicating the old school computer experience down to having to double click stuff and everything. Right?
I forgot
Uh,
about that.
yeah, it's great. But
I don't remember the last
the
time I even
one
double clicked in
thing,
life.
yeah, the one thing that bugs me about it is that when like the text box and stuff pop up, you're locked into that box until it's gone.
Oh,
Like
yeah.
I'm sitting here trying to move the box, and every time you try to like move the box or something, it gives you a little error message and says, "No, you can't do that right now." So that's a little bit irritating. Like I want to move that out of the way and read my entry while they're talking and stuff. So you can still read the entries, so it's not a problem, but it's just irritating that they replicated all of these things, but not that I can move the bars around. Like that bugs me.
Oh, yeah. That would be kind of nice.
Yeah.
I mean, nice little interface quality of life update, maybe.
Or two, because didn't I think one time like you tried to do it and it clicked it out, but you can just skip the call, or not skip the call, but like skip the voiceover on the call and it puts it up in the corner and then you can get back to your business. It would
Yeah,
be
but
nice
where's
if
the
that was
fun
like
in that?
yeah, it would be nice if it was playing in the background.
For speed.
Oh,
runs.
I see what you're saying. I see what you're saying. Like,
Yeah, speedrun mode. There
I
you go.
do love a good voice in the background. You know me. Like I get just like stop talking to me. I don't want to read the rest of this. Just tell me what to do. All right, let's just get right into this. Well, we continue the game, and since Tim played the game, he will be going last. So we'll start with David. Will you continue?
I will continue. I am hard in on this game. I probably will buy it as soon as we're done here. This is absolutely my type of thing. There was an old, actually, I don't know how old it is, Itch.io game from Corpse Pile, everybody's favorite DreadX dev. And he made a game that's very similar to this. It's a lot shorter. It's kind of more just poking around and reading files. There's not a ton of gameplay to it until like the very last section. But it's all replicated like interface on a computer where you're just file diving. And I love this kind of thing. I wish more games would take advantage of poking around a computer and trying to find information out like this.
Fair enough. Rick, would you continue?
This is a cool little gem. It's a one night stand for me. Like we had
It's
our
only 3.5 hours.
Yeah, we had our fun. I experienced it. I didn't get to know, your intimate childhood secrets, but we enjoyed each other's
vibed.
company we vibed. We enjoyed each other's company for the time we had together, but we're going to go our separate ways to ships passing in the night. I will remember this game fondly, but unfortunately I will not be calling it tomorrow morning.
Fair enough. Will I continue this game? I think I'm with you, Rick. I think this is one of those things where I had way more fun playing with you guys. I don't
Yes.
think I'd have fun by myself playing it. I think I would get some of the humor, but without someone else connecting the dots of certain things, because I'd be too hyper focused on one thing and I'd completely miss something else that maybe David picked up on or Tim picked up on. So I think that part makes me not want to play this game. And I also hate reading all that stuff. So it's just like, there's a little bit too much reading for me. So if you're into logic puzzles, this is a perfect game for you. Or if you want to play this with friends, because I do think that part's the fun part, like reading this out and then logic puzzle figuring that. I love riddles and stuff like that. I just don't like how much reading there is in this one. So I will not continue, but if it was on stream, 100% checking it out with the streamer. All right, Tim, would you continue?
Yes, I love this game. It's right up my alley. It might not be like the most technically impressive game of all time, but they have done like a great amount of world building within this little thing that they've created, and like I want to see where it's going, and it has replay value. It does, because assuming that the calls change throughout, I'm assuming they do, because there's a lot of options and I don't think we're going to get through every option in one run.
Yeah.
So I'm pretty sure it has a good amount of replay value to keep the, the puzzly stuff going. And then on top of that, the one thing I would say that's not in this game's favor, it is $15. not a horrible amount of money. I gladly pay this, but those people that complain about the price of games probably pick it up on sale, but I'd recommend it 100%. It's got all that dark humor. If you're a fan of like dark comedy, this is it. This is just a fun game. It's a nice little hidden gem that a lot of people probably have not heard about, and absolutely pick it up if you're into that sort of thing.
I mean, I always am a proponent of support your devs. If you like these types of games, $15, support your devs as much as you can.
$15 isn't bad.
I mean, it's like $50. That's like lunch these days.
Yeah.
I mean, honestly,
and
people paid 3 times as much for Resident Evil, 3? And it was like just only like 2 hours longer.
Yeah, like,
Okay,
even-
allow me. I 100%ed everything in that game, including
I knew
all
I'd get Tim.
achievements,
I knew
all
it.
listings in 13 hours.
Yeah.
Still not a lot.
And that's 13 hours is a fair amount of time, because that wasn't even like a full price game. It was like what, $30?
Was
was a
it?
good
I think it was like
It was a good
40 or 50.
I enjoyed it.
Anyways,
Or
but-
but still, even like even if it was $40 or $50, if you're one of those people that constantly bitches and moans about the price per hour on your video game, shut the fuck up. Please just shut the fuck up.
Was
I
it
am
good?
so
Yeah.
fucking tired of that argument. It's the stupidest fucking thing.
Unless
is.
it was $60 and it's super egregious, like that's
I mean,
the
if
difference.
unless it was like, if this game was $60 and it was literally just 1 week, sure, there's some time to complain there. But it's $15. You get to keep it. It's
Yeah.
not like you can't ever play it again.
Yeah.
So come on, just buy the game. Just buy
Yeah.
it. Come on.
Support your devs. It's $15, available on Steam. And thank you guys for watching and listening. And if you aren't watching, well, you should go do that and check out our beautiful faces over at youtube.com/@first30podcast.